I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Go ninja, go ninja, go! Go ninja, go ninja, go!
The game of basketball has long been one of America's favorite pastimes, but as anyone who's recently seen the hit ESPN documentary The Last Dance could tell you, the NBA had an especially big cultural moment during the 1990s. Whether or not you actually cared about sports back then, everybody still knew the names of Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, Dennis Rodman, and the 7'1" center for the Orlando Magic by the name of Shaquille O'Neal. And even as he's retired from the basketball court, Shaq remains as popular as ever by providing sports commentary on TNT, advertising car insurance with the General, and continuing to cameo in major motion pictures. Long after his embarrassing attempt at becoming a film star with the lead role as a hip-hopping genie in the 1996 family fantasy failure known as Kazaam. After he made a not-too-bad acting debut co-starring alongside Nick Nolte in William Friedkin's basketball drama Blue Chips, Shaq decided to upgrade to leading man status by donning a turban to play a 3,000-year-old genie who lives inside of a boombox, and is summoned under the command of a wisecracking little boy. And with the film being distributed by Disney under their Touchstone Pictures division, they were hoping to have another Aladdin-sized hit on their hands, which would make Shaq just as big a movie star as he was a basketball star. But even in the same year that saw Michael Jordan dominating the big screen with the Looney Tunes in Space Jam, Kazaam could not summon enough magic to turn Shaquille into a box office draw, with the film failing to slam dunk the box office and given a technical foul by the critics. And after Steele would drive a nail into Shaq's pursuit of movie stardom the very next year, the Big Aristotle would limit his acting career to cameos from that point forward. And while I may not have been impressed by Shaq's attempt at becoming a cinematic superhero, I will find out for myself whether his other starring vehicle from the 90s can make my wish for enjoyably bad nostalgia come true. Hell, it at least should be better than that other live-action Disney genie comedy from the 90s, which starred Sinbad. And yes, Shazam was a totally separate movie from Kazaam, which totally existed. I mean, who could forget that scene where Shazam magically turned into a condom to teach those kids about safe sex?
I know what some of you are thinking. How do you put me on? I don't have any arms, so I can't show you. You're gonna have to do some things on your own. Read the package. I don't need no Jimmy hat.
At center, coming in at 24 ounces and 40 proof from Anheuser-Busch Academy, give it up for number 1.5, The Awfully Good Drinking Game! Take a double shot for the 2 times that Shaq is summoned out of a lamp or boombox, as our story opens in an abandoned lamp store in New York City, which is set to be demolished, where the one lamp left on the shelves contains our titular genie, Kazaam, as he's rudely awakened by the slam of the wrecking ball. Funny, because I'm pretty sure that's the same noise Shaq made when he saw the box office results for this movie. Next we cut to the young hero of our film who will become Kazaam's new master, Max Connor, played by Francis Capra, no relation to Frank Capra or Leonardo DiCaprio. And young Max meets just about every requirement expected of a young protagonist from a 90s kids movie. He likes to skip out on his classes during school and receives detention from his put-upon teacher, as played by the sassy chef from Mr. Nanny, Mother Love.
Right here, after school.
More like Mother Hate, am I right? He's also frequently tormented by the school's token gang of bullies, one of whom is a pre-Pedro Efren Ramirez. As they pin Max to the bathroom floor and spray paint an outline around his body, while they steal his lunch money.
$2.70? We're gonna be living large on this.
Hell yeah, you'll be living large on $2.70. You can now buy the Mega Pack Lunchables instead of the regular kind. Deep dish pizza, biatch! And on top of that, Max is also living in an apartment with his harried single mother, Alice, with his father having left them behind when the boy was only 2 years old. And now that Max's mom has finalized the divorce from his father, she's planning to finally marry the boy's prospective stepdad, a firefighter by the name of Travis.
Travis and I want to get engaged.
I thought he was just coming over for ribs.
You and your mom can move on with your lives. That's why we want to get engaged.
Why didn't you ask me?
Max.
What about me?
I'm gonna run away and find a 7-foot basketball player to be my new father figure. But as Max runs from home, he crosses paths with the bullies once again and tries escaping their pursuit by hiding out in the abandoned lamp store, only for Max to give himself away after falling through the building's fragile floors.
Turn down for what? Turn down for what? Turn down for what?
But before the bullies grab him, Max bumps his foot into a dusty old boombox, where our titular genie now happens to reside. And after the boombox blows open into a tornado of dust, we are finally introduced to the magical Kazaam.
Who dare to wake me? Ain't gonna make this a mystery. Who's that sorry wannabe that disturbed my Z's?
Well, since the poster's tagline says that Kazaam is a rappin' genie with an attitude, I would suspect he'll use this rap to tell us if he's half Joe Camel and a third Fonzarelli, or if he likes to get busy consistently and or thoroughly.
I'm contagious, outrageous, spontaneous. I am Kazaam.
Ooh, Kazaam is one outrageous dude. But as Max responds appropriately to this abnormally tall man screaming at him in rhyme, Kazaam tells the child he must now ask him to grant 3 wishes so that Kazaam can return back to his boombox. And the skeptical Max asks the supposed genie to prove his power by summoning up a car.
I am Kazaam. Kazaam.
Oh, don't worry, Kazaam. This happens to male genies all the time. Just ask Aladdin's genie to fill you out a prescription for some Viagra bomb. Okay, never mind. Apparently, Kazaam has summoned some demonic dragons who have just dragged him down to hell. Guess that's the end of our movie! Actually, we cut over to the next day where Kazaam follows behind Max on the streets of New York, which does not look at all like a pedophile staking out his next sexual target.
Oh, what the?
Don't you wish you had one of these?
But even with Shaq flashing that trademark smile of his, Max is not yet convinced that he's dealing with a genuine genie. So Kazaam must win the boy over in the most extreme 90s way possible through a BMX bike race.
No way I'm losing this race, buddy. I'm back.
Our genie.
What's the matter? Your tongue is broken? Time like this, you should be stoking.
Still, these effects do look more convincing than seeing Shaq's big ass trying to comfortably ride that kid-sized bicycle. He looks like he's riding one of those tiny cloud bikes. And with Kazaam finally summoning his magic to look like an advertising mascot for our carpet cleaning business, Max gets to work making the first of his 3 allotted wishes.
Then I wish I had junk food from here to the sky.
Why not? Higher than high?
Yeah, you would have to be higher than high to want to eat some sloppy-ass hamburger or taco off of those dirty-ass floors, but at least we now know the origin story of how Golden Corral came to be.
So, until I make those last 2 wishes, I own you, don't I?
Technically.
Wow. Really? The filmmakers saw they had a scene of a white boy explicitly telling a black man that he owns him and did not think this would resemble a certain tragic period of American race relations? Either this movie is going to turn into a more racially uncomfortable remake of The Toy, or Disney is going to have Shaq do a hip-hop remix of Zippity Doo Dah, and I am not cool with either one of those scenarios. But before we can get into further magical hijinks with Max's slave, or I mean genie, it turns out that Max found his mom's divorce papers which reveal the name and address of his absentee father named Nicholas Mateo, who turns out to be a musical talent agent. And when Max drops in on his dad in the middle of an opening night party for a nightclub alongside his new client, Da Brat,
Ladies and gentlemen, Da Brat!
because you Gen Z viewers obviously know who she is, he informs Nick that he happens to be his son.
It's Max. Maxwell. Connor.
Maxwell Connor, you're my son.
Quiet down, check this out. This is my boy, Maxwell Mateo.
This here is the lucky boy who will inherit his father's copious supply of hair grease. It's here at the nightclub that Kazaam is first introduced to the exotic sounds of the hippity-hop music.
Now this puts the boom in box.
And when Max's dad gives his son and Kazaam 2 backstage passes to see a solo concert by Salt and Peppa's DJ Spinderella, again, you Gen Z kids obviously know what those 2 things are, Kazaam captures the attention of Spinderella from the crowd and takes her up on her offer to jiggy jam it by throwing down some dope rhymes on the microphone. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant dopey rhymes.
Cause I am Kazaam. Ooh, man. In your coffee, I'm the queen. One wish I get it straight. As Romeo said before Juliet, rap for your friends will have a sextet. And if you girls are hungry, let's green, egg, and ham it.
Quick, somebody had better stop Shaq before he tries to rhyme sneeches with beaches. And why are you shooting sparks at the audience from your boombox? Your shitty rapping skills will not be redeemed by setting your audience on fire. But as corny as his raps may be, I think Shaq's acting here is noticeably better than it was in Steel, as the role of Kazaam allows O'Neal to showcase the humorous and charming personality he has in real life. Although I could have easily done without seeing Shaq snuggling up with a little boy in his bed.
Get off me, you pervert!
Or seeing him get half naked to take a shower in front of this boy.
Being a guy. Being a guy.
And in case you need to know why Max's mom isn't asking her son about the grown man following him around, that's because Kazaam dons his finest Tyler Perry's Good Deeds cosplay to introduce himself to her as the boy's tutor.
I am Jefferson Allensworth Lamb.
With Kazaam goofing around with his magic powers at the breakfast table by having a stack of French toast magically fly into his mouth. I can only imagine that the poor CGI artist who was tasked to animate a sentient piece of French toast for this movie ended up suffering a deep and painful existential crisis. In fact, my problems with this film lie less with Shaq and more with his young co-star Francis Capra, whose character is a whiny, snotty bastard of a kid that spends every other scene getting into an emotional hissy fit.
You're not my father. You will never be my father.
You watch your mouth.
Watch yours. You lied to me. I'll show them. Maybe I'll even be a personal assistant. I'll show them all. I don't need a friend. I need a genie.
But still, I don't want to be too hard on this kid, seeing as he would have to co-star in another terrible magic comedy with Martin Short the year after Kazaam. And also because he's grown up to look like he could eat my asshole alive. And since this movie needs some sort of villain, we meet the devious nightclub owner by the name of Malik, who offers Kazaam to perform at the club again the very next night to help launch his rap music career, as they dine on a dish of Nubian goat eyes that he ordered from Pankot Palace through his Grubhub account.
I haven't had these in 3,000 days.
Give me your hat. Why? Because I'm going to puke in it.
However, it appears that Malik knows of Kazaam's genie identity and wants to become Kazaam's new master so he can use that magic boombox to make his evil wishes come true, while also working in cahoots with Max's deadbeat dad to bootleg live concerts from the nightclub and sell the tapes illegally on the black market.
We'll just Spinderella was back to the house.
You mean you've done your job?
Because apparently a bootleg recording of a Spinderella concert is just as valuable on the black market as a fucking kilo of heroin. But Kazaam reveals to Max that he's nervous about getting up on stage for his first official concert, and Max decides to help the genie perfect his rap game.
My name is Max, so get these facts. I'm on my heavy BMX and I make some tracks.
That's whack. That's horrible.
That's terrible.
And so both Max and Kazaam rap alongside each other in a song where Kazaam tells the boy how he came to become a genie.
I did have this friend in 1000 BC. Her bird looks to me and I says to he, why don't we jump in that old Euphrates?
So it's you and her bird in 1000 BC.
Buried to our necks in sand like a sea, praying to the gods.
And what do you see?
A man with the halo and a nasty decree. I'll save your butt, but you gonna serve me.
Jesus Christ, this is dull. When's he gonna get to the part where he and a bird move with their auntie and uncle in Bel Air?
Genie, I can't hear you, Max. I cannot hear you. What are we? We genie.
Thankfully, Max and Kazaam dropped the rapping so that Kazaam could talk about his desire to earn his freedom and transform from a genie into a djinn.
Djinn? What's a djinn?
Djinn is free. Djinn can do anything.
And so sets the stage for the eagerly awaited crossover movie, Kazaam vs. Wishmaster. But enough about that exposition dialogue that definitely won't factor into the plot later, because it turns out that Max has helped the bullies steal one of the bootleg tapes from his dad's nightclub. And when Max finds his dad being tortured by Malik and his goons over the missing tape, the boy cries out for help from Kazaam to make his second wish.
Get off the table.
Kazam, I gotta make a wish.
And for further information on how the hell Max was able to magically teleport through that glass of water, please read the Kazaam novelization written by Margaret Atwood, available in bookstores now. Of this movie's numerous problems, the biggest one is its identity crisis. While one half of it tries to be a lighthearted comedy about a boy and his magical genie pal, the other half feels like you're watching a hard-hitting family drama about a good-for-nothing dad trying to reconcile with the son he never knew. And these two paths uneasily converge together in the film's final act, when Max decides to help his dad through his final wish for Kazaam.
Wish my dad had a second chance.
We've been over this before. New life's destiny. Kazaam can't do it.
Kazam!
Unfortunately, Kazaam is a bit busy at the moment with the debut concert of his new rap persona, Class K.
Put your hands together for a Class K!
Because I guess Kazaam wasn't colorful enough as a rapper name, and while I've heard Shaq's rap albums actually aren't all that bad, this movie does a piss-poor job at selling him as a convincingly talented rapper.
Served every time, Dick and Harry-o. One snap of my fingers, get a scoop of Ben and Jerry-o.
Mr. Material, eating up cereal.
But while Kazaam is distracted with the concert, one of Malik's goons steals his boombox from behind his back, and with Malik holding Max's dad hostage, he pressures the boy to use his final wish so that Malik can become the genie's new master.
The third wish will be, quote, I want Malik to have all the money in the world.
Well, now that's just stupid to use a wish from a genie to obtain a copy of your favorite Mark Wahlberg movie. Just order a used copy off of Amazon, you cheapskate. And when Max refuses to make Malik's wish come true, Malik decides to do away with the boy by shoving him down an elevator shaft. And Kazaam is summoned to Malik's warehouse to serve his new master. You see, Shaq, this is what happens to you after you celebrate becoming the new Papa John spokesperson by trying to eat 40 pizzas in 30 days.
The day of reckoning will come.
Be a good genie and get into the box.
I don't understand.
You've been called.
What the fuck? Did Malik just turn into Leslie Jordan there for a second? You've been called, honey. Now get in this here boombox so I can get me some of that juicy Shaq meat. But though Kazaam seems powerless to fight back against his new master, they did not count on this genie being a master in the sacred martial art known as Shaq Fu. And thus ensues an unexpectedly brutal fight scene between Kazaam and Malik's thugs that feels less like a family fantasy comedy and more like the fucking warehouse fight scene from Batman vs. Superman, complete with curb stomping, grab-assing, electrocuting a guy to death, and Kazaam squishing Malik into a basketball to slam dunk his ass into a garbage disposal. I think I know who the Monstars are picking in the NBA draft next year. Now LeBron and the Toon Squad won't stand a chance. But as Kazaam mourns over the lifeless body of his young master, his body begins to glow, and his wish to bring Max back to life is granted.
You're alive!
And in a flash of lightning, Kazaam begins to grow in size, informing Max that his final wish for his father was a perfect wish from his heart, which has officially set Kazaam free so that he could finally turn into the Master Control Program from Tron.
I'm Jin, and I'm free. You don't need me anymore.
Don't go!
In our hearts, we're all Jin. The power is in your heart.
And always remember what I told you, Max. Stay cool with Gold Bond powder spray. Turn off pain with the Icy Hot Smart Relief. And for a great low rate you can get online, go to the General and save some time.
So Max wakes up to find his firefighter's stepdad saving him from the burning warehouse, and is elated to see that his father has survived the fire as well, proving that Kazaam has made good on his wish to give his deadbeat father a second chance at life.
All of a sudden I was free. Your friend was there. Said something about a second chance.
Excuse me, is there Nick Mateo here?
Oh, wait, never mind. Looks like he'll have to serve 45 to 60 years in prison for his association with the criminal black market. Sorry, kid. Looks like your genie really crapped the bed on that last wish. Now how about you reconcile with your future stepdad so that we can all go home?
I could sure use a nice hot cup of chocolate.
But wait, what's this? Turns out Kazaam is still around after all, so he can pursue his romance with Malik's female assistant, Asia, whom I never mentioned during this review because she meant jack shit to this movie.
Get real. You're getting a job.
A job?
Oh, I can already think of one job that Kazaam could pursue, becoming a dentist, so somebody can fix Francis Capra's fucked up front tooth. Seriously, look at that fucking thing. That is a Maureen Ponderosa level dead tooth, if ever I fucking saw one. Fuck your dad, kid. You should have wished for a new set of teeth instead. And Francis Capra's going to beat my ass after watching this, isn't he? Kazaam happened to be the final directorial effort for actor-turned-director Paul Michael Glaser, best known for his role as Starsky on Starsky and Hutch, and directing the Arnold Schwarzenegger classic The Running Man, with Glaser writing the film's story and dedicating the film to his wife and kids after his wife and daughter both died from AIDS. So I must emphasize that it's really not Glaser's fault that his personal passion project turned out so bad, as this movie was clearly rejiggered around by the studio to be a showcase for Shaquille O'Neal. And while Shaq certainly tries to carry as much of this movie as he can only do so much to help this film's slow pace and schizophrenic tone. But as a pop culture artifact of its time, Kazaam has enough stuff to laugh at. So I would say it is a worthwhile bad movie watch. And hey, since Disney is planning to make a sequel to that Aladdin remake, then perhaps they can summon Kazaam back out of his boombox to give us the rapping genie duo that we've all been waiting for.
Let's green egg and ham it.
And on the nudity watch, aside from Shaq getting half naked in front of a 12-year-old boy, there is shockingly very little nudity in this Disney distributed family comedy. So I'll instead take this time to mention that Shaquille O'Neal was planning to re-team with one of the producers of Kazaam to start production on Shaq Fu, the movie. You hear that, movie going public? Your ignorance of Kazaam led to us being denied a film version of Shaq Fu, and I hope you're happy with yourselves.
That's horrible.
On the enjoyableness continuum scale from Bull to Bruce, Kazaam goes to show that there are some things that Shaq is worse at than free throwing a basketball, and turns up its magic boombox to a volume of 5 out of 10. I dream of Genie with the bald brown head. I'm Jesse Shade for JoBlo.com, and before we plow on with our awfully 90s summer, I will note the one advantage that I think Steele had over Kazaam, and that is, of course, that clip of Kevin Grevue shrieking like a little bitch. No! That never gets old.